Well, Marky Dragon, also known as Marcus Eikenberry in real life. Welcome to my backyard this fine morning. So let's talk about Twitch being purchased by YouTube and what the impact of that could be. Now, let me just say that all indications are that this is bogus, and that while they may be in negotiations, that no offer has been made by YouTube to purchase Twitch. And in fact, Twitch themselves say that they don't comment on rumors. Now, what that tells me is that, you know, it's a rumor in part of, you know, that there's this price that has been set, but the fact that they didn't dispel saying that there was nothing, no business being talked about with YouTube, to me says that there is something to it. But let's just talk about what the impact of this could be, because I'm seeing out there these flames, let's call it, going on one side saying, oh my God, YouTube's going to wreck Twitch, and the other side saying, look at this, Twitch could be made so much better. So what does it actually mean? You know, YouTube has attempted to do live streaming, and I have to say, I'm a big fan of YouTube, but the live streaming portion has been crap. They do have some good features that I like the DVR feature and stuff, but overall, the reliability has been very, very difficult. And part of that has to do with the fact that I believe that I can't get close enough to the ingest location to have a good connection, and that and Twitch has kind of figured this stuff out. So now, so Twitch definitely has YouTube beat in this area, and in fact, it looks like they're starting to show up on the top reports. They're in the top 15 now of bandwidth consumed during prime time in the US. And that's a pretty big deal. Twitch has always had massive growing pains, and all of these scaling technology issues, it's really quite wild to see how much they've grown, but they don't have the same reliability as some other services out there. So it's been quite frustrating sometimes. I mean, how many times does chat crash and all of that other stuff? Or, you know, for broadcasters, you know, how often do you end up with severe packet loss and other issues, such as, you know, if you want to broadcast at 1080p, half the people can't watch because it's just too much data. So, okay, let's talk about the bad stuff. The bad stuff first would be that Twitch is independent, and it has a style all its own, a direction all its own, and everything that would potentially be modified by YouTube owning it. Twitch also is a competitor to YouTube, and you know, competition is good because competition breeds innovation. And if YouTube were to acquire Twitch, we remove some of the competitiveness in the market. YouTube is definitely number one in videos, and Twitch is definitely number one in live streaming of games. So, you know, the competition there is good. They do both fall into each other's realms. I mean, Twitch does have videos that you can look up afterwards, you know, your highlights and stuff. And YouTube, of course, does do some live streaming. You know, the biggest thing, though, probably is how YouTube treats copyright and the difference of how Twitch treats copyright. YouTube is very anal about copyright. Things must be very proper and must not impose on someone else's rights. And I believe in that method myself personally. After having my own rights violated many times. In fact, I've got right now, somebody just gave me a channel that has, I don't know, over 1,000 of my videos on their channel, you know, and they're making money off them. They're monetized. So, you know, how do I take care of that? You know, how do I stop that? The same side goes though on Twitch. Twitch has this huge problem of people using copyrighted music, copyrighted content. And this copyrighted music issue, you know, that is higher quality music. It's really, you know, more higher quality than most people can afford. And you just grab it off of whatever, your MP3s or whatnot, and that's what you're playing. And, music does make for a better experience, but at the same time, nobody's paying for those rights. I mean, I pay for the rights of everything on my stuff because that's just the way I roll. But there are so many people out there that are playing things like Britney Spears and, you know, Justin Bieber, you know, or Timberlake, or, you know, all these different things that this music, that the likelihood that they really have the rights to it is very small. So I think that if YouTube were to take over, that would stop. I don't know how. I think that Twitch probably hasn't developed the technology to, in real time, monitor for that kind of thing. And I have no clue how they've skirted the issue all this time. It's very much wild, wild west. And, you know, why is it that we're not hearing the music industry saying that, hey, you can't do this or whatnot? Why is it we're not hearing that? I don't know. And so if YouTube comes in, I suspect that stuff all goes away. So now on the flip side, and that's probably the biggest detractor from that, on the flip side is that if YouTube were to come in and take over Twitch, that one is that they would benefit greatly from YouTube's network, their internet connections. YouTube has an enormous amount of connections all over the place. They are the route between many places. They're the largest owner of dark fiber being fiber optic lines that have been laid and that are not in use. They have just incredible connections that Twitch, being so bandwidth intensive, could really benefit from. You know, especially like the ingest servers and stuff like that. It's very much a thing of it could really, really help in that area. Now, what about things like you know, the copyright? I think that they will figure out how to enforce that with everyone, and people start getting strikes. You know, and now how about on the technology end? You know, one of the things that Twitch has kind of shied away from is saving a lot of the videos, a lot of the broadcasts, and it's probably, you know, that it builds up to enormous size, and YouTube might be able to offer that. YouTube has an enormous amount of storage. They have an enormous amount of horsepower. They could offer good transcoding to everybody right off the bat, or it automatically starts transcoding when, say, you have 100 viewers or something like that. And transcoding is really important because it would allow somebody like me to broadcast at 1080p, and then it, you know, it resizes it and makes it smaller for 720p, 480p telephones, you know, for your cell phones and stuff, for mobile. And right now, the way that we have to do it is, if you're broadcasting at 1080p, people watching at 720p still get hiccups. They still get, you know, these pauses in the video, and it's a problem. So I have to broadcast at 720. Otherwise, I have a lower audience because a lot of people just can't watch it. So I think that they could offer something in that area. I think that Google engineers, the YouTube engineers, could offer a lot of new features and a lot of stability. And I think that it could actually integrate well into YouTube. Now, I could see the government saying, no, the US government saying it's not going to happen because YouTube being #1 video and Twitch being #1 in live streaming. The sun is just cresting up on this nice morning. That's why you can see my head all clear now. And the fish are definitely jumping out here. They're jumping all over the place. So, I think that we could see a big benefit from that knowledge base, and we could see a year after the purchase, we could see a lot more stability, a lot more of the features that we need and want actually working well. I could also see some improvement in connectivity with the API, with other other sites, interacting with them. And I think that, my opinion, what side do I fall on, would be the side of that, yeah, this would be good for Twitch. But, and it would probably be good for all of us streamers and video people in the short term. But in the long term, there are hesitations. I mean, what about, competition? Sure, okay, so Hitbox does have some competition. They have, or not Hitbox, but Twitch does have some competition in the form of like Hitbox, and there's a few other game streaming services out there, but none of them have gotten the traction required. And if they're able to build something like Hitbox has come out within the last year, if they're able to come up with something like this, relatively short period of time, why can't YouTube just replicate that? It's not, I don't believe that there's any patents out here or stuff like that that would prevent YouTube from replicating this. It might just be that it doesn't meet YouTube's cost per hour of viewing or whatever, and that the cost is higher, and that they're not willing to dive into that area. Also, there's another thing too, which is that if YouTube were to buy Twitch, we could have ads targeted on our Twitch channels that could pay better, possibly. I don't know. A lot of the YouTube MCNs, the multi-channel networks, kind of like our Marky Dragon network that we operate, a lot of them are now downsizing in their advertising areas, reducing staff and everything, because Google AdSense is doing a better job on its own of taking care of selling quality ads than it is worth their time. So, unless you have some really giant channels that an advertiser wants to work directly with just this one channel, it doesn't make any sense for an advertiser to work with an MCN directly. They would just go to YouTube and say, I just want to do a buy right here. They already have a system in place to do that. They don't need to even talk to anybody to do it. And they have all the stats and everything, and they can just throw it out there. They can watch what happens for a day or two, they can make adjustments, and then they can make profit. And I think that could be an incredible benefit to Twitch. So anyway, moral, not moral. The end thoughts are that I would enjoy seeing Twitch purchased by YouTube. I think the benefits to me outweigh the risks, and I think that there is other competition out there, while they're not nearly as big, that maybe they can take up the spot in innovation. I can tell you that nowadays I have the horsepower to actually stream to multiple places simultaneously. I have streamed to YouTube, to Twitch and to Hitbox, all three simultaneously while recording on my end before. And you know, there might be some advantages to doing it that way. The other thing is that the Twitch partners don't have representation with Twitch, meaning that they're all direct. They're like the YouTube partners are direct. There's no networks. There are some groups working together to help streamers as a whole, or just in their groups, and that's cool. But there's no formal organization for that. I know that I've talked with Twitch about that, about actually forming that and you know, taking care of the revenue and stuff. But here's the problem: it doesn't pay enough. It pays less than YouTube does, and it just doesn't pay enough. And without it paying more, you can't afford to do this unless you have really huge streamers. And the fact is that the people that are appearing in the top 100, you know, 50 of them appear there every time they broadcast. The other ones just get lucky for a little bit, and you have to have those high-end numbers in order to afford the kind of work that goes into operating a network and you know, building something that's for the group, like has been done with YouTube. And so you know, maybe that could turn around and change with that. So I'd be willing, you know, and you know, we're YouTube network. I think that if that became an ability, that would be something that we would focus on, saying, hey, streamers, let's work together if we can make it financially viable. I can tell you that we did talk with another streaming service about doing something like that, and the numbers did not work out, meaning that we would have to have guys that each one of them would have to be like averaging, you know, thousands of simultaneous viewers all the time in order to make enough money to make it worth the time to just break even. And so even though we could have been, you know, a network for streamers with this other, you know, streaming service, we had to turn it down because we couldn't find enough money in it. And it's not about being money hungry, it's about, it has to at least cover the expenses. So that didn't happen. Anyway, okay, we'll see what happens next, and I'm sure that I'll have more thoughts as this plays out, but I don't expect to hear anything soon. These kind of things take a long time to negotiate typically, and so if we do hear anything soon, I'll be surprised. I'm Marky Dragon. Take care.